dodging Baneling shots, splitting decently against those as well. And now we're going to see some of Solar's maps come in. Galactic Process and then, of course, Apotheosis are our next 2 maps for sets 4 and 5. These Solar prioritized as second and third. That's why they're even in this. Dark put them at the bottom, which is what Solar expected. I think he wants to play on this map. He wants to have a strategy that throws Dark off.
And this is going to be fantastic for Solar. Even though he loses that last one, he can go into these maps, which no doubt he's got, as you were saying, very, very well prepared for. And I just want to see what other cool stuff he's going to do. Are we going to be seeing Swarmos again? Maybe not, but definitely a well-planned build for the map, I would have to guess.
Would have to agree. Guys, tell your friends this is the grand finals of this tournament. It's been going on for several months. Dark, if he wins this game, he goes to match point.
That he does, guys. We're going to jump into game number 4 right now and see if Solar can bring it back against Dark.
No time like the present.
반격의 싹을 자른다.
역전을 만든다.
Welcome everybody to Galactic Process for set number 4 between these 2 Zerg players. Down in the bottom left, in the red, taking that last one, it is Dark from SK Telecom T1.
We have it. A huge cheer here. As SKT, one of the most famous and long-standing esports teams and the best funded as well. To the top right, in blue, his opponent, the underdog, it is Solar here on map 4. Hear that cheer behind us as well. Pretty big cheers. But, you know, I feel like with that last win, Dark has taken the crowd's momentum. You know, you could really feel a shift in the cheers there. And in esports, oh, wow, he's so greedy.
Fast third. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, in esports finals, and actually just in general in most televised matches like Pro League, for example, each group of fans has a side, just like baseball, just like traditional sports, you know. You sit on your side. But as the night goes on, you start to see, like last night, for example, the SOS side started cheering more and more for Bjorn, and that's kind of a cool thing that happens in esports, and you can feel it tonight, and you know, I guarantee you that that will affect Solar here. He can't see, but he can hear, and he knows. You know, if the momentum starts to go against him, and Dark will get away with this greedy build because Solar has played it safe.
He went for a greedy build kind of himself.
Yeah.
He went for a fast third, but not as fast as Dark. So when you get similar builds like this, but one player was a little bit greedier than the other, the greedier player will win out in the end. And, you know, his queens are later. His speed might be later if Solar was going for it. But, you know, besides that, Solar is going to scout this right now. He's going to see it's done before his. So he can kind of guess, like, hey, you might have gotten that earlier than mine. His did just pop, so maybe he's thinking it could be a factor of like 3 seconds, or it could be, you know, a little bit more, especially because that creep is already really spread out there.
Baneling Nest coming up here. Obviously, Baneling Nest is going to be almost required to hold a third base on this map. There are rocks and there's small funnels, but if you get a large group of lings over there, it's very far away from your natural. Again, hard to get there. It's a well-designed map, I feel, the way the third base layout works out. Because there's different options and opportunities. But if you don't take a Baneling Nest and your opponent does do a heavy ling attack, you might just die. But again, just like the previous set, Dark may be using this as an aggressive tool rather than a defensive tool. We'll see what comes forward here as Solar skips it, but adds a Spine Crawler for added safety here. And against Dark, that's pretty reasonable. Scouts this Baneling Nest.
Scouts the Baneling Nest. He's going to get into the main as well. See no lair. Sees the amount of gas that's being mined as well. So getting a nice bit of information here. And Solar was very delayed on his gas. Very, very delayed. Added 2 later. I was thinking with the Spine, maybe he would want to go, you know, straight into Spire here in just a bit. It's a pretty decent map for you. You can go right from the third to the main. You can harass. You can deny a lot of vision on this big map. Control it very well. But he's just going to throw down a Roach Warren. We'll see if it's, you know, for just walling off here, or if he's really going to go into that. I would assume that he does.
I assume he does too. Now, this definitely looks like a dark drop build where he's going to try to Fairy Lings in. He's targeting down this Roach Warren here, trying to force Solar to use Transfuse Energy early.
And he might be able to. Actually, he's doing a nice bit of damage. There's a Transfuse. You guys can see the health on that is at about half.
Yeah, and he will hold it. Eventually, that becomes cost inefficient to continue to commit to that. The Drop Overlord is done. I don't know where it is right now. It looks like towards the middle of the bases as he gets a Roach Warren back in on. This is not an all-in. This is just aggressive with this drop. And, you know, this is important because, as you mentioned before, Solar got his gas so late, but what the advantage he gets from that is extra minerals, which gave him more drones. He's up right now 8 workers, and he also didn't make 16 links. So if he holds here, you know, he's going to have this huge economic lead that really can't be underestimated. Dark now transitioning to those upgrades, droning up, but doesn't actually commit to the drop. Doesn't really find anything with this commitment he's had. He can always threaten with it later, but I do feel that Solar has a slight edge, very slight, in this game. He has a faster roach count. These destructible rocks, by the way, they're aesthetically looked with shields, but they don't actually recharge, so definitely he doesn't have to like look at those and make sure they die. Or
they're just cool futuristic rocks.
Yeah.
That's all they are, guys.
They're rocks that grew shields. In the future, rocks don't get moss, they get shields. I don't know. So he doesn't actually commit to this drop. You know, the Korean commentators are pointing this out as well, is that he just did not commit. Probably going to come in later and try to surprise Solar.
And the build here for Dark is actually going to be a Spire, and because the lair is so late, he doesn't get the mutas very early, and you know, his army count is going to be a lot lower than Solar because he's just pumping straight roaches. You can see a bit of a gap in terms of the supply right now as Dark goes for this heavy tech, but already a Hydralisk Den on the way for Solar. He's prepared. He's going to have a really nice composition of roaches and Ravagers to attack eventually.
Yeah. Good scout by Dark as well. He's going to see everything. The Overseer did see the Spire. That's why he's making the Hydras not blind. That Overseer did kind of sneak in there earlier. You guys could see probably on the mini-map. And Solar has, basically, he's ahead in every way. He's taking this base, and I feel like because he already has the counter to what Dark is doing, it's going to be very difficult for Dark to further his, further his style, I guess, forward in this game, the build that he's chosen. And in fact, making Mutalisk might even be a mistake at this point.
Yeah,
He already scouted the Hydralisk in, and he's not. Okay, he makes 2, 3. He is going to commit to some. Now, as you said, attacking up into a concave is not always a good idea. Solar decides to back off.
And you can see now a Lurker Den being morphed here for Solar. No Hydralisk upgrades. Just going to try to get out Lurkers as fast as possible.
And it's kind of funny, too, that the Baneling speed comes up, because this is kind of how ZVZ works. You just keep countering what your opponent's doing. You see the Spire, you get a Hydra Den. They see the Hydra Den, they get Baneling speed. You get a Lurker Den. It's like it just goes on and on, right? So right now, I guess that Solar is one step ahead with his Lurker Den for the time being. And they do a lot of AoE damage if you control the Overseers, which is hard to do without a Spire, but if you have a few Hydras, you snipe Overseers, it's hard to kill those Lurkers. But it's really just about the macro here. That's kind of how ZVZ is. Who has more stuff? And then if you have less stuff, but the counter, sometimes you can still win. And positioning is everything. Micro control. And Hydras, the counter.
Oh boy, running in his mutas. He is going to lose 1 to the Hydras. Not looking at that moment in time. And I mean, it hurts a little bit, when you only make 3 mutas as a pack. 2 mutas definitely going to be not as strong. They do serve basically the same purpose, which is to clean up the map and do very, very small harassment. But we're transitioning into a very, very long game here, especially compared to the other ones. We're going to get to max. And interestingly enough, if we do get to Hive, Dark already has that Spire, so he's going to be a little bit ahead of Solar if he does want to go into Broodlords eventually. Obviously, a very hard transition. And Dark actually wants to go for a big attack with a ton of Speed Banes.
Obviously, now Lurkers will do very well against this. So will Roaches if well split. And he's only committed to 9 Hydras. This could be an ill-fated attack. He has a large amount of units, but so does Solar, and he's going to have Lurkers. I don't even think there's an Overseer with this army either. So looks like he's going to ignore where the army is, though. He wants to get the advantage position-wise. He kills the Roach Warren, which means Solar can't rematch here.
He lost a bunch of his Banes, though, running into the Evo chamber. They do push forward. A bunch of the Roaches do clean them up.
He can't fight under the Lurkers. He's caught with these Broodlings, and Solar gets a better position. He's going to trap these units. They cannot retreat. 1 Mutalisk is not enough. Lurkers coming in to finish the job. And this will be a crushing defeat here for Dark. Solar with the concave now, pushing forward. And the Roach is just trying to get any value they can, but it's not going to work out.
It's
gonna
just
lose
not going to be
everything.
enough. He's going to be cornered here in the side. And, you know, he's putting on a bit of pressure here at this fourth, but already Solar is defending, and he's just losing units. Look at the supply. He's down nearly 100 at this point. All Solar needs to do is move across the map and kill Dark here.
Yep. It's just going to be that simple, StarCraft fans. He's trying to make mutas. He's trying to make some sort of transition.
Already Solar is making Hydras. He knows the idea, you know, hey, Dark knows that I have a low number of Hydras, so maybe he'll go back into mutas, and that he does.
Yep, but he has the counter. He's smart enough to figure this out. These mutas trying to help defend here. Again, no detection for these the lurkers. Does, you know, start to take them out here, but partially with glaives. The Roach is coming to the main here. There's no way Dark can defend. He doesn't have enough. This drone line is besieged, and once the Hydra count gets better, the game will end here. And even without Hydra,
GG! Solar, he brings it back. We're all tied up once again, 2-2. In a crushing defeat, you know, he baited Dark into going for this attack up the ramp, and then he swallowed his army whole, basically, with everything he had, got those lurkers into position, didn't overcommit with them, had a very, very nice position there. And Dark, you know, you could feel it, right? He knows that he kind of messed up there in that attack.
Yeah, I do feel this is very much a one step ahead, strategy-wise, build-wise, move here from Solar. Maybe some Samsung fans down here holding up that sign. Solar ties us up 2-2 here, and what could be the best ZVZ finals of all time if things continue in this way. Now, tell your friends we are 2-2 in this. This was not the sweep fans expected. People are saying Dark 4-0, Dark 4-1. I'm seeing Twitter full of Dark Win. By the way, use the hashtags Dark Win and Solar Win on Twitter because we like to follow what you guys have to say. Do that. But again, people were thinking this is going to be one-sided, think it's going to be a sweep. It's not one-sided either way. Both players
are the exact opposite, actually.
They're not losing their confidence. They're not choking. This is solid play from both players in all 4 games.
Yeah, and I would expect the same. You know, we got 3 more.